Hello everyone, today I want to share my Fischl build and team compositions within the short guide. As always, I start with a build, then go over teams and at the end show some Abyss gameplay.
Practice on your side. Hi. Everybody stand back. With sword comes shadow. Incoming.
Fischl uses a pretty standard sub-DPS build, just focus on the usual attack, crit rate, crit damage, in her case obviously electro damage bonus, and now that we have Dendro elemental reactions, elemental mastery is really good on her as well, so you can build like 200 to 300. As for energy recharge, if you're running 4 pieces, a Thundering Fury set, you can definitely ignore it. If you're mainly playing her with electro resonance, especially with Raiden, you can probably ignore it as well. Otherwise you want to build a little bit because you will need her elemental burst skill to have 100% uptime on her Raven Oz. As for skills, this character is all about the elemental skills, so definitely focus on this. You could stop here, but honestly the elemental burst skill deals some decent damage as well, so you could invest some resources into this too. As for normal attacks, there is a physical main DPS Fischl build, but honestly, I don't think it's even worth it, especially after Sumeru's release. It's not even a question anymore which of the two builds, like sub DPS or main DPS, is better for this character. It's sub DPS all the way. As for Constellations, 1 through 5 is just personal damage, nothing too interesting honestly. Constellation 6 is where it gets crazy, 2 more seconds for Oz, which is nice, but the really interesting part is your Raven also performs coordinated attacks alongside your active character. Again, it's a lot of value, especially now that we have Quicken and Aggravate. It's so impactful that people kind of got inspired and named the whole build after this Constellations, the machine gun Fischl, and it's a lot of value, definitely really nice to have. As for weapon options, there's one clear winner, of course, the Stringless for the increased elemental skill damage, but elemental mastery as a desired subset for her now is worth mentioning as well. And the good thing is, it is quite common, by now I have 2 Refinement 5 ones, so definitely get this, it is her best 4-star weapon. As for artifacts, we already covered substats earlier. As for main stats, it's attack percentage here, electro damage bonus here, and crit rate or crit damage, whichever one balances your build better in the last slot. As for sets, there's one very popular option, and it is the 4-piece Thundering Fury set to decrease the elemental skill cooldown to the point where you can have 100% uptime on your Raven with the elemental skill alone. If you don't want to do that, you can do what I did and run a double 2-piece set for just some extra stats, and an even more efficient way is doing the 4-piece Gilded Dream set from the new Sumeru region. As for teams, Fischl is obviously a sub-DPS character. For our healer, I just stick to Bennett for simplicity's sake since most people prefer him, so we are missing a main DPS and a second support, and one of these characters should be a Dendro character because the new Quicken elemental reaction is insanely strong. It almost sounds borderline broken in my opinion, because having an elemental aura applied to an enemy that doesn't get consumed by elemental reactions, and you can basically trigger an infinite amount of spread and aggravate reactions for the entire Quicken duration. It almost sounds like a bug to me, to be quite honest. One possible combination would be running Tenari as your Dendro main DPS, and in your second slot you can pick an Anemo character for, of course, the Viridescent set and the Electro Infusion for extra aggravate damage. Alternatively, you could also pick Zhongli for the double resistant threat. If you don't have Tenari, you kind of want to run the Dendro sub DPS slash support in your Traveler or Collet. From here you can kind of take 2 different paths. You either go for a pure Quicken team with an Electro main DPS like Keqing or Raiden, or you slot in a Hydro main DPS like, for example, Ayato or Child, and you also trigger some Electro Charged or Hyper Bloom. And now for the showcase. Fischl is actually really easy to use. All you want to watch out for is having her Raven Oz out all the time. If you don't have the Thundering Fury set, you can do that by alternating between her Elemental skill and Burst skill to resummon it. In combat, all you want to watch out for is triggering Quicken between Electro and Dendro, and as you see, you regularly will trigger Aggravate and it will deal a lot of bonus damage. This is all you want to do for Fischl. Then you obviously just do everything else for your other characters, like in case of Bennett, press his burst skill, and in case of Ayato, pressing his burst skill and do a bunch of normal attacks with his elemental skill up. And for now I'm gonna leave you with some Abyss gameplay, and this was a little experimental. I wanted to see if Freeze and Quicken can kind of coexist and you can trigger a bunch of Aggravate on a frozen target. And it doesn't seem to work, you just end up triggering a bunch of superconduct. So in case you had the same idea, I just decided to upload this so you can save yourself some time and don't have to research that. And just imagine it was like Kaching, for example, instead of Ayaka. In terms of gameplay and rotations, it looks exactly the same anyway.
Whirling snow. Oz, reveal thyself. Let's dance. Sakura swirl. Take flight. Just like we rehearsed. Go!
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Let the show begin. I summon thee. Fly! Ha! Kami-Sato-Art. Sumetsu.
Alright, we made it to the end. I hope this gave you some inspiration for your own bits. Stay tuned for more videos. Until then, have fun and bye bye.